Quit
All I
swearing on
know
the
is
program.
that it's just a bunch of Will Disley.
Who knew it was going to be Will Disley night heading in? Holy smokes, I got way more Will Disley than this morning.
I told you. Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Live Before Lock. Little two-game Monday action. Yeah, okay. Well, doubleheader on Monday. I wish, the only thing that sucks living on the East Coast. I said it on my betting show today, Matt. I think I'm just getting soft in my old age. The fact that the one game doesn't start till 9 just sucks. I mean, what? Look, no disrespect to you guys this is a hell of a way to start out the show. No disrespect to you guys on the West Coast, but can you not give us one night? Can we not start the first game at like 6 o'clock and you just take off, you call out work early, you leave early and go home? You know what I mean? Like give us one day where I can be done watching by 9 o'clock.
Would be nice. I've gotten into watching some replays. I was watching the replay of a high school football game today. That was exciting.
Yes, of course you were.
What?
What?
My buddy is a coach on a team and I wanted to watch the game back.
Were you scouting for him?
I did see a couple guys that are going Division One over the couple games I've seen this year. Little disappointed in one. I think it was a charity offer to the in-state Wisconsin Badgers, but still going there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I like watching football back. When I'm tired, just go to bed, catch it the next day.
It's
not the same, but
you don't watch it. Yeah. Ben watches, like Ben will bet games, fall asleep and record them and watch them the next morning without looking at if his bets won or lost.
Ben is an interesting guy, and I think that's all I have to say.
I hope he's watching. I bet he is. We had a long conversation one day. I was like, dude, I love you. But how do he, and some people agreed too, but he doesn't check his bets. Like he'll wake up in the morning, come downstairs. Guy doesn't even drink coffee and he'll just sit down, turn the TV on and watch back the Winnipeg Jets and Buffalo Sabres game in full.
That's putting it lightly too. I've gotten texts from him out of the blue. Like you need to hit this South Sudanese soccer game. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not making up random country that happened one time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, I live in Wisconsin. I don't have a lot of these markets available. I'm checking these options. I'm like, where do I even get this? And of course it hit.
Yeah, you have to bet Gibraltar or whatever. Like just wild spots. We love Ben though. Hopefully he's hanging out. Anyway, I'm going to do my best to stay up and watch all of this tonight. It's not even about staying up. Falling asleep during a game isn't a problem. It never happens. It's me just getting anxiety about the next day. That's the problem. That's my issue, man. Like I don't get tired. I just start to panic. Anyway, you ready to talk some football here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's make it happen. So 2 games. This should be fun. I hope maybe for the first time in forever, I have a good 2-game slate.
You say this and I'm right there with you. Thanksgiving's historically a bad day for me. The 3-game slates, playoffs. Actually, you know what? I had one of my better scores on the 2-game way back in the day, but it's been a while since that happened. It was
Actually, I did once too, a long time ago. I qualified for King of the Beach and had another GPP win, but this was like 2018. So I don't even count that. Like that's the last time I remember having a good 2-game slate.
Yeah, me too.
So maybe we turn it around today. What do you say?
We didn't have The Sims for all those years. Now we do.
True. Also, what's tough about this is just, and look, they're fun. Thanksgiving's my favorite day of the year for football until like 12:45 hits.
Dude, Marvin Jones has 3 scores.
Yeah. Yeah. David Blau has 3 touchdown passes to Marvin Jones in the first half. Like that's what it is about these 2 and 3 game slates though. You can't miss.
Yeah. You're sitting there with like a Dak CD stack and you're already dead because you didn't play Blau to Marvin Jones.
That's exactly right. It's 100%. You can't miss, right? Like it doesn't mean you can't cash, but you can't miss on some of these obscure bonehead plays that I'm not saying the people that play them are boneheads. It's like, who is this bonehead? You don't have the time. And now you have Zay Jones active. You mentioned this before the show. You have Palmer active. We're still waiting on, I think McConkey plays and I think Quentin Johnston sits. I'm hoping I'm hoping we get it plays out nicely for us in that game.
Yeah, I'm kind of just sweating Darius Davis because he got injured with a hamstring earlier, and I think that would have affected the Simi Fehoko snaps. And if he's active tonight, I think that will affect the Simi Fehoko snaps. But that's something you actually need to know about on a 2-game slate.
Well, we should know in 8 minutes.
Yeah,
Jordan,
thank goodness.
can I put you on inactives duty here? All right, so we should know. Now, you're not just going to be able to find this by, like, because I want to know these defensive players as well. You have 2 guys in the secondary right now in Kristen Fulton and Jasir Taylor that are questionable, but only got in 1 limited practice all week, and that was on Saturday. Joey Bosa is doubtful as well. Asante Samuel's on the IR. Leonard's out already. He's now on the IR. They're super thin, Matt. You said they elevated 2 corners. So if that tells us anything, good likelihood that they're going to be really, really shallow in the secondary tonight.
This could be a really sneaky game script if Arizona's able to exploit that, get up from a lead. We might get coaxed into like a Justin Herbert pass-friendly script for the first time all season long.
If we do hit into that, but also going into these Kyler Murray spots, we haven't had a lot of Kyler Murray this year. I mean, there have been times, and the last time they really showed explosive style of offense was week 2 against the Rams. But at the same time, you have Baker Mayfield, you have Lamar Jackson in a game with a 50-point total. I'm not saying that this secondary changes everything. Like, okay, now I'm not going to Lamar and Baker. Give me 100% Kyler. Obviously not. But it would look a whole lot more interesting to me if they're as banged up as they are. I'm not sure even Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to piece together a grade A performance from this defensive backfield today. So let's see what this looks like if we're still hanging, much lower ownership on someone like Kyler. Because as it stands, he's the 3rd highest owned, less than 20% ownership on a 2-game slate. And a lot of these pass catchers for Arizona aren't that popular outside of McBride.
Which makes sense. Marvin Harrison's very expensive, and he's not receiving the target share we would have thought for a top 5 NFL draft pick. And you're complicating matters further by bringing Zay Jones back into the fold. And even if it's just a handful of snaps for Zay, that's a handful of snaps that can't go to someone else who had previously been on the field. So it's muddy, even though it's a situation we want to play.
By the way, guys, I forgot to mention this, but if you don't mind, you know what's coming. Matt's done it already. I know he has because, Matt gets atone for your sins. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. It's free to subscribe. Goes a long way for us. We got to feed the algorithm. Matt, I promise you, I'd love nothing more than to not mention that ever again, but it's just not the way it works when you're doing shows on YouTube.
This is how we make a living, and believe it or not, although it may seem small, it does make a big difference for us and for the life of the channel. Helps us get in front of other people. Yeah, man, if you don't want me and Laffy to go hungry, it goes a long way.
Yeah, if you don't want these shows to disappear,
That's the big thing. Yeah.
Chris Williams, thanks for the super chat. Quick question: does Playback return tomorrow? Yes, it does. Playback will be back. Chris gifted the subs as well. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Playback, NBA season, all of that's coming back. All right, Matt and I are going to dig into this. No stone unturned on this show. Before we do, though, since NBA was mentioned, if you guys haven't done so yet, right now, you get everything for NBA Core, $100 value for the month, but for the week, all the way up to the 29th of October for $1 if you want to get in basketball kicks or tips off in earnest. Regular season tomorrow. It's right there. You'll see get Core NBA for $1. That's $1. Don't worry about the promo code. It auto loads for you. The link is down there. Listen, the NBA Sims crushed last year. It's a more projectable sport than others, so the Sims have crushed. I mean, just ask Greg, who had like multiple 6-figure wins in the first month of the season or whatever it was. You're going to build better lineups. The single lineup sim comes with that. The actual sim up to 1,000 lineups in the contest generator and the post-contest generator. Post-contest has everything. Late swap simulator, ownership, player projections, top boom bust tool, you name it. Everything for Core, $1 through the 29th. So that's what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got it all. You got it all for $1. If you're not there yet, make sure to check that out. Big stuff coming for NBA this year, and you'll want to be with us. And you know what? If you don't, you go, I spent $1. Can't hate the guys for that. I didn't love the tools. I can't hate them for that. Matt, I spent $1. I've spent $1 on worse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And yeah, the tools are awesome. Help you with everything from late swap. Our team is really on top of that within minutes of news dropping. Things that are really, really hard to handle on your own because NBA is a tricky sport. We try to take care of that for you, and the results show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, we want you guys to win. We think you will win. And this is our way of saying, hey, get your foot in the door. See what happens. All right, let's do it. Jose, Laffy, what are your thoughts on Marvin Harrison and what does his ownership look like? It's a really good question, Matt. It's a simple question, but it's one that I want to talk to you about as well. You asked me, what did you ask me before the show started? Are you coming around on what did you call them?
Greasers.
Any of the greasers? And, we both agreed, like, not really, but Marvin Harrison's not a greaser by any stretch of the imagination. He is, however, a really good football player already as a rookie. I don't love the fact that his target share isn't that of what doesn't necessarily represent a elite level player yet, but I'll tell you what, I usually don't take personnel, in inactives and stuff that seriously. But if Bosa's out, which I assume he will be, and you're missing basically the whole secondary, well, all of your corners for the most part, I think I might give a little bit of a manual boost to Marvin Harrison because it just might what you have to ask yourself then is, how am I prioritizing Harrison when you have you have Evans, Godwin, Zay Jones, Marvin Harrison? Who else am I missing? Am I missing one? I think
you have all the studs.
Yeah, those 4 guys. So how do you prioritize that if the guys are active in the secondary for LA or if they're not?
It definitely gives a boost to Harrison if they're not. Right now, my preference is Zay #1, just because you don't have to pick between any other studs. I think there's a really good chance one of Godwin or Evans outplays Zay Flowers, but I don't know which one, and they seem to alternate matchups. In this game, I don't think either is particularly weak, the matchup wise, and I don't know if either is particularly strong. It's just a pretty good passing secondary to attack regardless. But you can very easily come into this slate with one of Godwin, one of Evans, and Zay Flowers, who's probably just going to be the target magnet for the Ravens for the foreseeable future. Then I would put Harrison third. The secondary stuff makes it more interesting, I suppose. But it's a volume thing at the end of the day, too. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being McBride or maybe one of the rotational receivers we see that are a little cheaper in price. I tentatively would still put Harrison fourth, even in that instance, but just to reference our tools, I'm getting a lot more Harrison than I was this morning on the same settings.
I am too. All right.
I'm at nearly 30%.
Is that how much you are right now?
Not
quite, I was only getting
12%. I'm on 25 to first in large field.
Okay. So with that in mind, I don't think I'd do anything crazy. If I'm getting around, and thank you, Jordan. If I'm getting around 30%, I don't think I'd make any changes there. I just thought we'd be getting a lot less. All right. We have the inactives, Matt.
I haven't seen them. Let's hear it.
Wow. Okay. So really, Fulton and Taylor are they active? I think they're active. Wow.
Darius Davis is inactive.
Yep. Darius Davis is inactive. Oh no, Easton Stick is inactive. Quentin Johnston is inactive. I've seen enough of him in the preseason to know I never want a thing to do with the man. Hayden Hurst is inactive. Joey Bosa, Darius Davis, Quentin Johnston. Okay, so yeah, Ladd. I figured Ladd would be in. Christian Fulton play. Isn't that crazy that him and Taylor didn't practice all week until a limited on Saturday and both of them are active? How about that?
Yeah, I'm surprised considering the elevations they made. But yeah, I don't know if I want to bring Harrison down still though.
That's what I'm saying though. I'm okay just leaving him there where if that's what I'm getting. I'm fine with that. Perfectly.
I think so too. Now I really want to see the next update we get with Fehoko.
Yeah.
He might be my favorite value play now.
So let's go through this, and hopefully you guys are okay with us doing it in this format. I think on a site like this where we're actually getting inactives flowing in, this will probably be more helpful than anything else. So with the Chargers pass catchers, you have no Hayden Hurst, right? So that means that Will Dissly is the number one here, right? We're in agreement there. Then you get to the wide receiver position, and it starts to look a little bit, dicey as well. So,
wait a second,
right.
dude, they only have 4 active receivers on the roster.
Right. So you have no Quentin Johnston today, no Darius Davis, which means that you have Ladd McConkey, Joshua Palmer, Simi Fehoko, and Brendan Rice.
Yeah, I'm probably playing more Simi Fehoko. I mean, everything's going to update. I imagine I'll get more of him naturally. But every other cheap pass catcher, I think, has a question. Sometimes even worse than that. Baltimore, they rotate personnel groupings so frequently. And then even when it is 11 personnel, they use packages for players like Aguilar. With Tampa Bay, you do have Trey Palmer back, which muddies the water already. Plus, was McMillan limited in his first game back, just coming off the injury? I think that's reasonable because he was the clear wide receiver 3 to begin the year. Arizona, you have Zay Jones back, and this is the exact opposite. We only have 4 receivers on the roster tonight.
And
I don't think Brendan Rice is going to play many snaps.
Probably not. Simi Fehoko's minimum salary. This is also against an Arizona team that is abhorrent against the pass.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They're bad. Like, they're allowing the second highest completion percentage. The only one higher than that is the Falcons, who, usually keep the ball in front of them and don't allow many yards after the catch. 8.1 yards per attempt for Arizona. The only team that's allowed that same number, and it's the worst in the league, believe it or not, Baltimore Ravens. 10 passing touchdowns. Yeah, they have really struggled. Their pass defense has really struggled. Their defense in general has really struggled. I know that Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh want to run the ball. I don't think you're disputing that whatsoever, but it's also a 2-game slate. And if you're going down and you're dumpster diving with, Arizona or Baltimore or Tampa Bay, it isn't to say that you can't do it. But with Trey Palmer active now, with Zay Jones active now, it does muddy the waters a little bit for these teams. Plus, with Baltimore, you've got like a combined 6 or 7 targets for Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. I would say Bateman's a nice play, and I have no issues with him, but he's 4,300. He's not minimum salary. So if you're going all the way to the bottom, into the basement, Simi Fehoko is probably going to get a good amount of work today. At least he's going to be on the field.
The question almost becomes, like a Will Dissly versus Simi Fehoko, because they're almost the same salary.
I still like Dissly a little bit more, I think.
I think his role is more secure.
Me too. That's the only reason.
Yes,
I think he's a little bit more secure. I think you probably get 75% of snaps out of Will Dissly today.
And Fehoko's probably going to be in like the 50 to 70 range.
Dissly's had 3 targets in 4 straight games. Mind you, he does virtually nothing with them. But
they've also been competitive games.
That's a good point.
Which means they're not throwing.
Outside of Carolina, where they just didn't need anybody, they just ran the shit out of the ball. Dobbins had like 17 for 140 or something. That was Pittsburgh. That was Kansas City. That was Denver. Those are tough spots.
100%. And I don't think Dissly is going to change and become dynamic. But if Arizona can move the ball on offense and maybe put LA in a script they haven't been in often this year, that could benefit Dissly.
I do like Ladd today too, though.
I like Ladd as well. He's my favorite among like the sub 5K guys, because we don't have anyone at 5K at receiver. So you're kind of boxed into the elite tier and then the cheap tier. Ladd is, I think, by far the best one sub 5K.
I agree. Yeah, if you're looking in that sub 5K range, for what it's worth, you don't have anybody below 6,700. Like between 5K and 6,700.
It's just Trey McBride among pass
and
catchers.
I'm saying there's no one at wide receiver.
Yes.
Yeah, you have one tight end, right? Yeah. So Wilson is 40. McConkey's 49. Michael Wilson is 47. Quentin Johnston's out. Zay Jones is 45. I don't see how you'd want to do that today. Palmer's 44. Bateman's 43. Dortch is 41. McMillan, Aguilar, Sterling Shepard. Like for me, it's McConkey number 1, and number 2, I think, is actually going to be Rashad Bateman for me.
I agree. And then number 3, I think, is either Sterling Shepard, and I might be talking to Simi Fehoko.
I agree. Like how much
Sterling.
Zay Jones at 4,500 do you want?
No more than like 12%.
Mm-hmm.
So Arizona's pass catchers outside of McBride and Marvin Harrison have been woefully bad. We're talking hovering around 1 yard per route run. That's exactly what Zay Jones was at last year. So, I mean, it's not like they're receiving reinforcements in the form of an explosive player off the injured reserve. They're getting dusty old Zay Jones. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays like 5 snaps. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays 35 either, but it's very, very volatile with him. But I don't think his role is as secure as the other players you mentioned, not even close to it.
I'll say this much. Zay Jones on FanDuel is minimum salary. So if you're trying to do something weird on FanDuel, go for it. 4,500 on DraftKings, which is 1,500 above the floor. Just give me Fehoko, give me Sterling Shepard, give me those guys. Give me those guys.
I'd rather play McMillan in the event that he bumps back up to his previous role.
Yep, 3,500. Would you rather have Nelson Aguilar or Zay Jones?
Aguilar.
So would I. Not because I think he's better. Zay Jones is going to have like 3 touchdowns tonight.
This is our Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
I still don't like Zay Jones on FanDuel though either, because yeah, he's the minimum, but Fehoko is 4.2.
That's true.
Trey Palmer's 4.2. McMillan's 4.5. Aguilar's 4.9. Like,
Tom just DM'd us, by the way, that they pushed an update to reallocate the Darius Davis share. So that's good.
Oh, lovely. Let's rerun.
Yeah, we should
wait to see what we get with Fehoko.
I haven't rerun any lineups yet. I'm just waiting on that right now.
Oh, it's not out yet?
No. Oh, you know what? Probably is out. Let's see. He said they elevated Rager too from the practice squad, so they have 5.
Oh, they did.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
That's weird. I was on the Chargers actual roster, and Rager wasn't on it. They didn't update it.
I know.
I thought I could go right to the source and get accurate information. Thanks, Chargers.
I told you I was looking at that one earlier and I was getting weird
like,
stuff.
What the hell is going on with the Chargers actual team website?
ESPN has it now. Anyway, let's take a look. Do we have the updates? Yeah, we do. All right. We're still waiting on the projection to push through to the contest generator. So once we get that,
we can use our good old intuition till then.
For sure. Yeah. I'm just waiting on ownership. Because right now, my guess is that Simi Fehoko, we're going to get a shit ton of him if he's projected at, like, what's his ownership projected at?
We'll find out. It can't be high, though.
We had him at 13% earlier.
Maybe it'll be higher than that now.
I think so. Let's see. We'll get the ownership updated too. But Nathan, Showdown, Baker captain, $5 plus Lamar, leaving 0, or Lamar captain 2 Ravens plus $4, leaving over 1,000 for the big showdown. Both options seem unique. Yeah, they seem unique to me. I mean, I don't know who the players are, but yeah, I think Baker captain, $5 plus Lamar, leaving 0. Admittedly, I haven't looked at the showdowns for today, Matt, so I can't give the best answer on that.
I haven't run him through the Sims. Just going to play one lineup or so. Maybe if I get my stuff done early, we'll play more than that. But I think it's always live playing Lamar as the solo. It's obviously got to be like a slaughtering kind of, at least in favor of Tampa Bay, but Lamar's going to score the most points in that kind of game script. It kind of phases out Derrick Henry, if they're trailing like that.
Yeah. Ace Boogie, are you liking Kyler more now that Bosa isn't playing? He's fine. And like what I mean is it makes a difference, obviously, but we knew that Bosa wasn't playing from earlier today. We had a pretty good idea of that. Jeffrey, how many Chargers is too many Chargers? How many Chargers do you have?
Fehoko is at nearly 7.7 points projected now. He's going to be in a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we need the ownership update for sure.
How high could it possibly go, though?
I don't know. Let's see, Jordan. Did you run it? Or are we still waiting? Just run it. See what happens. Then we'll run it again. We'll run the Sims again. Yeah. It's bad down there. It's bad down there. We just opened up a 3K receiver. Look, it's not like getting a value running back when the starter's out. Keep that in mind. It's also a run first offense under Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. They would like to run the football. We got ownership, Jordan, so make sure to refresh that. We're in business. Let's go. Yeah. It's bad. Fehoko's got to be bad. Yeah. Fehoko's a good play. He's a good play, and it's against Arizona. I don't even care if they don't throw the ball a ton. What's he really need? You don't need a huge game. Imagine if he has 4 for 40 and a touchdown.
You're rich.
Unless he's like 30%. Let's see.
Even then, he might be like, you don't have him, you're dead.
Yep. We have him at 17.8%, Matt. What do you think?
Oh my goodness.
How much do you want to get?
I don't know, like 35% probably.
Okay, so basically 2x the field.
Maybe higher. I don't know. The reason you're playing Fehoko is he gives you all of the best plays on the slate. Your lineups are just going to look way better with him in there. And he certainly comes with risk. I don't want to just gas up Simi Fehoko like he's Marvin Harrison Jr. or something. This guy stinks. He's a journeyman. He is really athletic. He's a guy that like absolutely demolished the combine, which is why he's still in the NFL despite not being very good. But like you said, we're not playing him because he's good. We're playing him because he's 3K and he opens everything up. If he is like the same stat line as Will Dissly, I think you're pretty happy with it.
He was on Dallas before this, I think. Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah, he was a 7th round pick, I believe.
He scored a touchdown on a Showdown slate last year. I remember it vividly or 2 years ago. No, it would have been last year because I said who? Yeah,
I played him a lot in the preseason.
Last year, he had 1 reception for 9 yards and a touchdown. How about that?
I got 50% of him when I just ran the Sims, and I don't care.
You going to keep it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what I got. I ran it at 10% to get something different. See what we get. I'll do 50 lineups. Let's see. Because I'm going to rerun everything before. We still got 30 minutes. So let's just, I got.
50%. 55. What?
Let me see what happens if I favor.
What did you just say?
82, Matt. I said 82. Let me see what happens if I favored 150. All right, it drops to 64.
Okay, so what that suggests to me too is that
he's going for a straight goose egg tonight.
No, the highest projected lineups, so the highest ROI lineups have him.
Yep.
Because obviously you go down in ROI as you extend it out to 150. So he actually is like the lineups towards the bottom of your set. He's not in as many of those. He's in the higher ROI lineups.
Exactly.
And I mean, anecdotally, I'm just scrolling through this. He's in a bunch of the high ROI ones.
If I were to take 100 lineups, he's in 75 of them. All right, ready? Hold on. For those of you 20 maxers out there, I'm assuming 100. No, 70. Okay, so it's kind of all across the board. But yeah, top 50 is in 82% or whatever I said.
Well, think about this. It's late news. We're talking, and it's even later than normal because the games are staggered. We're getting this, half hour, 45 minutes before the slate starts. Their game obviously kicks later. How many people are adjusting to this? How many people know who he is? Like none of the people that are just hand building things are going to know who Simi Fehoko is.
Right. You know what's funny though? All right, so I just plugged back in 50 lineups, right? So favorite 50 lineups here. And check this out. So my wide receiver exposures, Fehoko and Lad, I have 54% Lad. I have a ton of Simi Fehoko, a lot of Flowers and Godwin as well. But how about the fact that I'm still not getting to a ton of Justin Herbert? And I still think that makes sense because you don't need these. The Justin Herbert attachment is far less important. You don't need a huge game from these guys. So you don't need a big game from Justin Herbert for them to be valuable at minimum. I mean, they are a combined $7,900 on this slate. So it's not like you have to, if you're like, I have no problem with playing McConkey and playing Simi Fehoko in the same lineup without Justin Herbert.
No, because they're the access point to give you the Lamar stacks,
Yes.
to give you the Baker stacks. You can't get those stacks without the cheap Fehoko or Disley or Lad.
Like if you had 18 combines from those guys, you're not dead. You know,
I think you look pretty good, honestly.
Probably. They're $7,900 combined.
So what did this do in yours at 10%? What I'm noticing is the Fehoko gave me a path to more Godwin, to more Flowers, to more Mike Evans. I was already basically at 100% Dobbins, so nothing changed there. I have a little more Derrick Henry than the previous run. I have quite a bit more Trey McBride, actually. I'm up to 50% of him, which I don't hate that either. Just more studs, basically, to sum it all up.
50% Henry, you said?
Right now, 62 Henry, which is up from around 50.
So at running back, just J.K. Dobbins and Derrick Henry overload. A lot of James Conner. Interestingly enough, though, I think one thing the Simi Fehoko thing did is earlier in the day, I was getting a little bit of the 3 running back lineups. It's looking like now I'm getting none of that. Right. So Tucker, Justice Hill, Rashad White, even Vidal has, like, Kamani Vidal he's kind of getting sacrificed here, right? You're not getting a lot of, I'm not getting a lot of that. Again, understandably, if you wanted to boost him a little bit, I get it, but he's a casualty of the slate at 4,400 because now that's not as good a value as it once was. Like it was when you and I did this. I told you things would change when we did the show this morning.
Yeah, we both knew that. And it's pretty significant too. If you just look at the projection differences between Fehoko versus the cheap backs, like let's use Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving, he's not even that cheap, but Vidal, there's at least 2 points of projection difference between Fehoko and most of those guys. And you're saving, in some cases, 2,000, 1.5K, definitely over 1,000 by going to Fehoko over all these guys. And you're getting almost 2 more points in projection.
Big time. Caleb Wiggins said with a super chat, thank you, Caleb. I also have a bad feeling about the the LA Chargers. I think there's a chance for them to get killed, and I don't trust that offense. Here's what I'd say you do. If that's the case, first of all, they haven't needed, I'm not saying there's a very good offense. Matt, they haven't needed to do anything crazy this year. Look at all of their games. They're allowing 13.2 points per game. That is a league low mark, best in football. When you look at what the Chargers have done this year, they've gone in and they held the Chiefs to 17. Of course, they couldn't score, but Herbert was all banged up. You saw Heineke in that game too. Pittsburgh, 20-10. Great defense. Still low scoring game. Carolina, 26 points against them, and they played a very conservative football game. Las Vegas Raiders, they put up 22 against them. Didn't need to do much. Raiders only scored 10 in the opening game. And then Denver last week, 23 against them, 16 points allowed. What I'm saying is if this is a situation where they fall behind, because mind you, even when they lost to Pittsburgh, even when they lost to Kansas City, it was never a game that was out of reach. They never had to really fully, flip the script on their game plan. If they were to fall behind, then I think you might want Kyler Murray stacks with the Fehoko and Lad run backs or something like that. I don't think the Chargers getting in a hole here is necessarily a bad thing given my exposures. I'd probably welcome it, even with Dobbins.
I think when you're talking about LA's offense, you need to actually break this down and ask a few questions. One, what are they trying to do by design? I think we all know they're trying to run the ball. So is this a team that could pass the ball? And I always look back to the foundation. Okay, is the offensive line competent? Can they protect Herbert? I think the answer is pretty clearly yes. It's a good offensive line. They're primarily great in run blocking, but that's more by choice, not because they have any deficiency pass blocking. Second, is Herbert a good quarterback? He's a little banged up, which it's a little bit concerning to me, but we have a pretty good sample of Herbert being a good quarterback and a talent elevator too.
He's not Deshaun Watson.
Well, I mean, we've seen for years now, Mike Williams goes down with the ACL, Keenan Allen goes on injured reserve, and we're seeing these dusty receivers like Josh Palmer should not be your wide receiver one, and Herbert made him a semi-reliable fantasy asset. Now they have Ladd, who I think is much more than that. You still have Palmer, who's proven to be competent. Could he have a reasonable game to players like Fehoko and Will Dissly? I think absolutely. He's done it plenty of times in the past. The only problem is you need this to be coaxed out of them. That Arizona probably has to be winning this game by like 10 to 14 points, if not more. But that's very live. We've seen that on plenty of NFL games. And I think the thing you're really gaining with, an LA stack is just leverage. You could play Derrick Henry. You can play the awesome receivers. You're certainly going to be able to get Zay, Godwin, Evans. And your leverage point would be the Herbert stack. So I'm going to be doing it right now. I have roughly 15% Herbert, all that stacked.
That's what I have.
I'm fine with that. I don't really think I want much more, but I feel like I have a comfortable exposure to Herbert on a 2-game slate. It's right where I want to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And also when I was saying earlier that you don't have to stack Herbert with, the 2-piece Chargers players or whatever, it's a 2-game slate, who cares? I also don't think it's the craziest thing either. If you stacked Herbert, then you just could full out games. Like, you obviously, I'm not saying you want it, but a Marvin Harrison spot would be nice, a Trey McBride. But Matt, let me try this, right? Let's do a little something here. What happens if we were to stack Herbert with Fehoko and McConkey? Now, would you
play whoever you want?
Right. Would you want to get Dobbins in there too? Would you want to get Dissly in there? Like, because you could go McConkey and Dissly, no problem, and fade Fehoko too. That's not out of the realm of possibility. That's fine.
I think you could easily play Dobbins, but you will have salary to play Derrick Henry for sure, and you could play James Conner if you wanted, because LA, more than most teams right now in the current edition of LA, this is a game script thing. If Arizona is playing from ahead, that should be pretty good for James Conner, and that's what needs to be happening in order to coax this out of Herbert. Most likely. Like, crazy things happen in the NFL. It's not a for sure thing. Like, maybe Herbert just gets there on efficiency. But I think the easiest path to a Herbert ceiling game is Arizona leading in this game.
That's right.
That would be good for Conner.
It'd be great for Conner. All right, so Herbert, Fehoko, and McConkey, Derrick Henry, James Conner. Let's see, Zay Flowers. I'm a little short. I'm a little short on Marvin Harrison, 200. You could actually go down to Arizona defense here. Just hope Herbert gets pick 6 or something early on, or even Bucks D. Go to the bottom with Bucks defense. How about this? All right, you ready for this? And I flexed the early game guy. It doesn't matter. Just giving you guys an idea. Justin Herbert, Derrick Henry, James Conner, Ladd McConkey, Simi Fehoko, Zay Flowers, Trey McBride, Mike Evans, Bucks D. That has Evans, McBride, Flowers, Conner, and Henry in it.
I don't feel bad about that at all. You have all the chalk, but your leverage point is the Chargers stack.
Right. All I'm saying is it opens things up. You don't have to do it. I'm probably want to end up playing that lineup, but it opens things up if that's the direction you wanted. If you're someone that says this game could be a shootout, there's clear paths.
I think that lineup is completely fine. The other thing that we might be neglecting a little bit is Herbert doesn't need to be the highest overall scoring quarterback. He's 5.5K. Lamar's 8K. Baker's 6.8. If you get like an 18-point game out of Herbert, and most of that is concentrated to Ladd and Fehoko, that could be more than enough, especially with Lamar and that Ravens offense being super spread out. If it goes through, multiple pass catchers, let's say, Likely and Mark Andrews have a touchdown. there might just be a chance that Baltimore stacks fail and then the Herbert stack, even if it's not the highest scoring, could still get there because it's so cheap. And then you have all the studs around it.
Yeah, then you're golden. All right. I'm going to run it through the single lineup sim and see what happens. By the way, you guys want any access to these tools? Guess what? Guess what? Just sign up with any of our partners over at the Sportsbooks and get a 100% free month of core. NFL, NBA, doesn't matter what you want. Matter of fact, let's say you go over, you're like, I'm going to do Bet365, I'm going to do BetMGM, I'm going to do Caesars. That's 3 months. So here's what you do. Click the link in the description. The best promo we've ever done, hands down. It's not even close. Because you're also getting all the bonuses over on these sports books and pick'em sites as well. Of course, you got to be 21 years old to gamble. You have a gambling problem, I would recommend you call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. If not, that link will take you to this. Choose one promo below. You got to use the link, otherwise it doesn't work, right? So Jordan can scroll down and show you. Sign up. Takes a minute to get instant verified by these books. Make the deposit, usually a minimum deposit, place a bet. Once that bet settles, email us. All you have to have is the most basic knowledge of screenshotting. Email us your settled bet and your welcome email from the sportsbook or however many you want. And for each and every one of them, so long as you use those claim now offers, you're getting a free month of core with sims, with the single lineup simulator that Matt and I demonstrated today and use every single day to begin with. All of that $100 value. And I should say, if you're in any of the Bet365 states, that should be the first one you sign up on, because you're getting $200 in bonus bets from the rip on a $10 deposit, $5 bet. And they're giving you $50 in bonus bets tomorrow just by betting a combined $50 in the NBA, which you were probably going to do anyway. So that's the priority there. If you're looking for the best bonuses, FanDuel's got them too. But, you know, Caesars and Bet365 with those no sweat first bets on top of that, all of them are great, including the pick'em sites offering 100% match, usually up to $100, some of them more. Either way, you want a free month, you want 3 or 4 or 5 free months of all of this, and you've been on the fence for a while, that's the golden ticket right there. Is that link, get you there and sign up. Anyway, I mean, by the way, minus 18.9%, Matt. So not exactly great.
You're going to get that. You could play around with it. Use, I don't know, Disley or someone else, or maybe it's just one too many Chargers. Like you swap out Ladd or something. Who knows?
Could be.
You gotta like play around with these things. Part of the beauty of the single lineup simulators, you don't play lineups that are like that. Like you might think something is great. Maybe it's too duped. You have too much exposure overall for just high owned players. The instant feedback is what helps you.
Big time. So now I go back to the drawing board, see what's going on here. Do you think Dobbins gets involved in the passing game?
I don't think he's incapable of it. I think that's the best way I can put it.
He's not. He's also clearly not a bad pass catcher. But will they use Vidal?
I think they'll use Vidal as a change of pace. I wouldn't project anything more than like 20% of the touches. Maybe those are slanted slightly to the pass game, but I'm not even really super confident in that. I know he had the one big play in the pass game in the first game, but the first game he was back, but tiny sample on that still. It's not like this was an elite pass catching back in college or anything.
Yeah. But what I'm asking is, would you play Dobbins and Herbert stacks? I think on a 2-game slate, anything goes.
I agree with you. You just can't worry that much about negative correlation. You're going to walk into some of it with the nature of it being a 2-game slate.
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, I just tweaked that a tiny bit and got 100% simmed ROI.
What'd you change?
All right. So I went actually from Connor to Dobbins. I went from Evans to Godwin. And that was it. That was it.
I don't hate that. That might just be like an ownership thing too.
I think the Evans to Godwin thing is a big difference. I personally like Mike Evans today, though. Mike Evans interests me today.
Yeah, you had some great stats this morning on him kind of just running bad downfield. And I'm not reading too much into that. We have a 10-year sample of Mike Evans being one of the most elite downfield ball catchers and ball trackers in the NFL.
Well, how much better is Chris Godwin than Mike Evans on a week-to-week basis? That's my question.
I don't think he's better. I think they're kind of like Debo Ayuk, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, like semi-interchangeable.
So, now, to be fair, like DraftKings and FanDuel today, if you were to look at this, you'd go, man, okay, they've pretty much had the same price point, particularly on DraftKings. I bet over on Mike Evans today at 53.5. Godwin was 23 yards higher than him. So clearly the markets like Godwin a whole lot better, which is understandable. What's interesting about this Ravens team, if you're just, factoring matchup in, and clearly Baker wants to get the ball out early, get it to Godwin, but they're the best. They've been the best tackling team in football, but they also allow the most 20 plus yards downfield passes, completions. They've been better than their numbers would suggest, but it's been the downfield ball that has really affected them the most. Not the short intermediate stuff. It's been downfield. And also Mike Evans, 99 career touchdowns. So maybe tonight, Monday Night Football, they get him that big 1-0-0, Matt.
99 career touchdowns.
Someone in my Discord over on Tails hit me up with that today. I was like, kind of interesting. Like, I'm such a moron for not buying in more to the Saquon Barkley revenge game. Clearly, did you see him in that game? He wanted to rub every single decent run in the faces of those fans. And I just was like, well, there's other good plays. Ended up getting crushed yesterday.
Well, Saquon Barkley, and the crazy thing is there were 2 tush-push touchdowns.
I know.
Jalen Hurts, he still went absolutely bananas, and Jalen Hurts had 2 of the goal line touchdowns.
I know. Barkley, I'm surprised Barkley didn't have another one. He was.
Yeah, I thought they maybe would reward him on the narrative stuff.
They didn't play him the entire fourth quarter, like even part of the third. He would have had 250 rushing yards if they left the guy in there. Crazy.
Yeah.
But,
to your point on the narratives, though, like circling back to tonight's narrative, which I didn't even know about, and I like Mike Evans, he's still their downfield threat. Chris Godwin, 5.2 ADOT. Mike Evans, 12.2. So Godwin, I'll say this. I think his role is more reliable on a week-to-week basis. Targets are more catchable just being closer to the line of scrimmage, and he's awesome in that role. It's the role he always should have been playing, moving back into the slot a lot this year. But if you're going to exploit matchups and look downfield and attack the Ravens where they're weakest, I think Evans is the best player to do that. Sterling Shepard has a 14.9 ADOT. What in the world?
Everything's downfield to Sterling Shepard. I think it might be a little. I think it might be a little skewed because he has 2 like really deep targets,
and he hasn't played a lot, and he stinks.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like against the Eagles, I think he had a 40-yard reception, which, by the way, no yards after the catch, just like straight 40 yards downfield. But yeah, I don't know. Godwin is a great play. And the argument here is that he's been the better player this season. Evans was dealing with a bit of a hammy issue. He's off the injury report. He's been off the injury report. But there's touchdown equity with that. I don't mind bumping Evans a little bit, is what I'm saying. It's not like I'm trying to get a lot less of Chris Godwin, but I don't mind bumping Evans a little bit either.
I 100% agree. I like Evans and Godwin quite a bit. I want one of them in just about every lineup.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's still, you could argue too, like, hey, Baltimore's secondary isn't as bad as they've been. I would say you're 100% right. I said the same thing this morning. However, their run defense is so good. Do you know guess how many rushing yards per game Baltimore's allowing this year?
78.5.
Good guess. 59.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And we're extending the sample.
Yeah. Yeah, 59, 3 yards per attempt. They just really have been a brick wall on the ground. It's crazy. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Brandon said Justice Hill. We talked about him this morning. It could get there. But it's weird because his volume hasn't been really based on game script this year. Well, I misremembered his big game being in a spot that was competitive. That was the game where they beat the bricks off of the Buffalo Bills.
Didn't he have a long catch in that game?
Yeah. Yeah. Down the sideline.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know, man. It's still hard for me to get there. He's not coming in around the goal line. I still think it takes probably severe negative game script for him to get there.
Let's
and
talk
there's
about
also opportunity cost.
Let's talk about exposures now that we're around 10 minutes till lock. We still have 2,100 people with us. By the way, appreciate all those of you who took a second to hit that thumbs up and show us some love and help feed the algo. It's appreciated. What do your exposures look like from position to position? What stands out to you? This would probably be helpful for people as they fine tune their final lineups.
I'm trying to iron out some of just like the cheapies and spread this a little more than I have, but that's really the only thing I'm cleaning up right now. It should come as no surprise, Lamar the most owned. I don't have quite as much of him as I did this morning, mid 40s, and then it's actually spread a little bit more smoothly between Mayfield, Murray, and Herbert. Not making any big stands at quarterback. Running back, it's mostly J.K. Dobbins, over 90% of him. Derrick Henry, over 60%. Connor's the third most owned. Almost no one else. Everyone else in my exposure is below 6%, which I like. We mentioned a lot of the opportunity cost thing. You're taking a lower projection, and oftentimes players that are like at least $1,500 more than Simi Fehoko, which leads me to wide receiver. A lot of lineups are just straight up two of the expensive studs, Ladd McConkey and Simi Fehoko, and I have no problem with that. I'm trying right now to smooth out like the rest of my lineups. I have a bit too much Josh Palmer. Would like to kind of get more Dortch, Aguilar, Wilson. I definitely want to play some Jalen McMillan. I have 0 of him right now. But that's about it. Tight end, it's McBride, and then some Disley and Otten. I don't have quite as much two tight end as I did this morning, but still a fair amount.
That's the Fehoko effect right there.
The Fehoko effect.
One thing that stood out to me, I'm still getting a lot of Disley, by the way. It's for me, you know what I'm not getting, what could kill me is if Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely has a big game. I have basically none of those guys.
Same. That's actually scary.
It's scary. But also, how do you prioritize them?
I think first of all, I think the answer is you don't prioritize them. I just don't think you come in like at 0,
Yeah, I don't think you want to come in at 0. How much Dobbins do you have right now?
97.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. That is a lot.
I'm not upset with it.
No, I understand it. Totally understand it. Something weird's going to happen in these games, though. Something weird always happens in these games, Matt. What's it going to be?
I hope it's McMillan. So I'm going to try to play. I hope it's McMillan. I'm going to try to play little of him. Right now, I'm toying around with the best way to boost him to get him in like 2% of lineups.
I have a lot
That's the last thing I'm doing as I try to jam in the CSP.
Yep. Oh, wow. Okay. I ended up getting to a little bit more Evans than I thought. That's nice. I naturally got to 25% Mike Evans.
No problem with that. Let's see
Not
where
at
I
all.
am.
Not at all.
Yeah, 26%.
Yeah. And also one other thing, like Lamar, Baker, I'm both getting a lot of. I'm up to 21% Justin Herbert. That's the Fehoko effect. I think it's just getting that attachment in there.
Yeah, I'm at 15, which I'm fine with. That never really changed as I reran.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all. All right. What else do we want to get to? Anything else that we haven't touched on yet that might be helpful as I get these lineups in? Are your lineups in?
Put them in right now.
Okay, me too.
But no, I think we hit mostly everything I wanted to hit. The cheap guys I'm playing the most of now, Fehoko, then Bateman, then Sterling Shepard. Don't feel great about that, but who would,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. No exposure caps or anything?
I didn't run any exposure caps.
Okay.
The only thing I changed myself was a slight boost so I would get a couple lineups of McMillan. That's the only thing I changed. Everything else kind of just worked This morning, our intuitions were like, we might do this, we might do that. It kind of just naturally happened.
It does, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't often happen where you're like, hey, I feel pretty good about my lineups today. But
it's a classic 2-game slate effect.
Right. Me feeling good about lineups on a 2-gamer means you should be worried. I said, for real.
Can't wait for the Thanksgiving show.
Where we just get real stoked to do the show and then afterwards, just misery.
You know the best thing about Thanksgiving?
What's the best thing about Thanksgiving? You're going to say when it's over or something?
No. When Marvin Jones has the 3 touchdowns, you have 2 more showdowns to play.
Yes. Dude, I said that to Ben yesterday, that the real advantage that we have now that we never had in the past was after that 12:30 game ruins your life. They're like, oh, wow, 200,000 to first for the 4:00 game. Not bad. Yeah, that absolutely opens things up. It used to be you'd have like the 2-game afternoon and night slate combo, which would have been like, what, nothing up top?
Yeah. The Thanksgiving night showdown, I don't know. It's usually Dallas playing someone at home or something. There's usually like a 500K prize pool or something nuts for that slate.
Dallas plays the 4:30 game. Detroit plays the 12:30. And then they have like 2 random teams play the late game.
Who's the late game this year?
I don't know. Let's pull it
sorry.
up.
You probably don't have the Thanksgiving slate just up and ready.
No, I don't. I know. I'm pretty sure though that it's usually Detroit to kick it off.
Yeah, that I know because every year it's Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
Which means this year, hopefully, I don't know, it'll be Khalif Raymond filling in for him.
Yeah, Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick. That's him.
It's going to be Tim Patrick. It's going to be one of those guys.
Watch, like Brock Wright will have a touchdown.
I was just going to say Brock Wright. Yeah. All right, let's see. Hold on. Thanksgiving slate. Let's see if I'm right with these afternoon games. Thanksgiving NFL games are...
Oh, dude, as you look this up, if Jared Goff got hurt because, it's kind of tradition for the Lions to play a backup or third stringer, it's Hendon Hooker now.
Yeah, that would be kind of sweet.
Yeah, by all means, or by no means am I wishing Jared Goff harm, but it would not be David Blau. Hendon Hooker's he's got some wheels.
I actually enjoyed watching him in the preseason.
Yeah, man, he was fun.
He is. Okay, so Bears-Lions, that's fun. You got your Bears on the slate.
I know. I'm excited. It's a great game.
Yeah, it is. In the Dome.
Yeah.
It might have been sicker in Chicago if you got some weird weather. Giants-Cowboys, that should be a gross game.
At least it's kind of evenly matched as long as no one does something weird. But we might have like Drew Lock by then or whatever.
All right. And assuming the brainwaves are still firing, Tua Tagovailoa versus Jordan Love.
That's going to be awesome.
That could be sick. That could be. That could
Speaking of, did you see the tight window Love threw to Kraft?
What was it inside the 20?
It was the one. It was the Kraft touchdown.
No.
Oh, watch the window. He absolutely threads this needle. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I will. Man, that would be a fun game. Oh, one more thing, guys. There's still 1,500 of you with us. This is, good luck tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Remember, tip off down there, get you $1 for everything for NBA through the first, 6 days of the season for every slate core package. Great, great, great value. Check it out. You're gonna build better lineups as a result. And then any of those link joins down there for the sports books and pick'em sites will get you as many months as you want. Keep that in mind. Even if you don't do it today, you just bookmark the link. What I was going to say is, well, now I forget. I know. If you look at the Sunday slate, all right, Tua is expected back, right? So Tua is expected to play. You're not going to believe this. You are not going to believe this. I don't know. I don't understand this. Like, I would almost ask DraftKings to retroactively change some of these prices. Tua is 6,100. Assuming he returns from the IR, okay? He's going to practice and potentially play this week. I won't even give away the matchup. Tyreek Hill is 7K Waddle is 5,400 and they're facing the Cardinals.
I mean, it's going to be so owned.
If
Which
you
it should
stack,
be.
if you stack this game in week 1, Tua was 7K. Tyreek Hill was 8,700. He's down. So Tua is down 900. Hill is down 1,700. And Jalen Waddle is down 900.
Yeah, man. It's going to be mega owned.
Oh, for sure. For
I'm
sure.
excited for it, though.
I mean, you might just, what do you do with Miami there? Like, what do you do with this 7K Tyreek Hill?
I'm probably just going to play a ton of them.
That's what I mean. Like, it's going to be popular, but how do you, I don't know. Eric said, yeah, it looks great until Tua tries to pick up a 3rd and 6 on the ground on the first drive. Yeah, that is a risk. But there's no way they should be close to that price. Like, Tyreek Hill should be back well above 8K, and he's not. So, yeah, man. Should be fun. We'll
Always
have all
is.
of that. Breaking it down tomorrow with Ben Rossum. Shortly after he finishes the Burundi soccer game facing who else? Eritrea. Yeah, that shortly after he finishes the replay of that, we'll do the first look show at 10 a.m. And you've got NBA tomorrow as well. So NBA strategy show with Josh Ingerman. Big day tomorrow. I believe you and Ben have college football too to talk about.
Yeah, our first look at the week, 9 slate. Holy smokes. That's crazy.
What is it?
Week 9, which is 1 week ahead of NFL. It's crazy that we're in week 8 of NFL.
Oh, I know. It's outrageous.
Where does the time go?
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.